founder of the second best solar Facebook group, Solar Objections. He's just an overall an excellent guy. And one of the cool things about this podcast is that we actually go through like specific objections and how he would go about handling them. And it's a super it's just a really, really great conversation for anyone who is maybe new to the solar game, isn't as comfortable selling or talking about specific things yet, and kind of seeing how other people are able to handle those objections so that you can kind of test it out and see what's going to work best for you. So overall, an awesome interview. Let's get to it. Solar Growth Podcast number 20 with Solar Joe. What's up, everybody? This is Kyle Thumb with the Solar Growth Podcast number 20. Today, I'm talking with Solar Joe. Solar Joe is obviously a solar professional, and he's also the creator of the hottest and fastest growing solar group on Facebook. Unfortunately, I admire him for that. Solar Joe, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. Actually, I'm a big fan. I love your podcast. I've learned a lot, so I really appreciate what you're doing in the industry. So thanks for having me on your podcast, man.
Of course, man. We were joking before. It was like how you're guest number 20. He's like, yeah, I've made the top 20. And like I had one of these goals. I was like, I want to get to episode 100, and I want to do it in a year. And then you don't realize how like after 15, I was like, okay, I gotta find more people to interview. Like this is hard. Like it's work to find people to interview, because when you're a small podcast and you have literally like dozens and dozens of followers, people aren't necessarily banging down your door. But I appreciate you taking the time, man. I'm excited to talk to you about solar, about objections, about your story, and all that good stuff. So your last name is Musakil.
You said it perfectly. Good job.
Perfect, because I don't want to risk ever mispronouncing it again. We're gonna stick with Solar Joe. So Solar Joe, can you tell us about like your experience in the solar industry?
Yes, sir. I was really big into sales for the past like 15 years. I love everything about sales, the communication part about it, the competition part about it. And when I found solar, it was just like, boom, everything perfect. Because I really believe, and you have to really be passionate and believe in what you sell to be really good at sales. So about 5 years ago, I started really looking into solar and just sort of fall in love with it. Clean energy. You can own your own electricity, and you can, have another option besides the utility. I was like, why isn't everybody doing this? So I really, really just fell in love with it. I dove in, and I'm a big fan of Elon Musk, and so I thought, what, let's try Solar City. Let's go with that. I learned the hard way. Elon Musk was not running Solar City. Solar City was just a different thing. It was not really run well. When I was actually working there, they had no ownership options at all. I could only lease. And I was like, I asked the manager, I was like, so if somebody needs ownership, how do I help them? Oh, we're gonna have to wait till later in the year. I was like, well, well, I'm not gonna be able to help those customers. That's not, really didn't really feel good. So I went to explore other options, and I found out that there's a lot of companies doing, ownership. And I found the company I worked at for about 2 or 3 years. Did really well, salesman of the year. Loved it, but didn't like some aspects of it, because when you work at one solar company, you're kind of forced to sell what they have, equipment, finance options, and sometimes you're forcing, a circle into a square peg, and it didn't really feel right. Like, for example, if a homeowner felt like it was too expensive, there was advice giving them 80% instead of 100% because it would make the numbers look right. I'm like, that didn't feel good to me. I didn't like doing things like that. So I decided, instead of working at a solar company, work for the homeowner, and use your skills and knowledge to help that person navigate the solar process and figure out what's best for them. So about 2 years ago, I decided to, not work at a solar company and just work for the homeowner, and decided to open up Comparable Solar. And that's just me, helping homeowners.
That's awesome. What I love is it's a trait that we've seen with kind of everyone that I've talked to, all the best solar performers. The key is, and you mentioned it like directly, is when you're into a sales pitch or when a homeowner goes into the sales pitch, they feel like there's like you're on the opposite side of them, like you're kind of their opponent, you know? Like you're the person that is trying to sell them, they're the person that's trying to get out of the sale, whatever it may be. And the best way to go about it is to be able to build rapport, to connect with them, and to make it so that you're on their side, and then you can place the power company on the evil side. So basically, if you can team up and put yourself, oops, on the side of the homeowner, then you're going to have a lot of success. So great. Yeah. So tell me about your Facebook group, Solar Objections. I know it's like every time I check it, it has like 150 new people, and it's a fun group, man. It's probably the second best solar group on all of Facebook, I think. So can you tell us a little bit about what made you start that and kind of why you did it?
Yeah, no, I really, really appreciate it. And um, I love solar. I can't tell you, I'm addicted to solar. I love everything about it. I'm very passionate about it. And I love overcoming objections. It's like, I feel like I'm a teacher or a coach. I have that coach mentality, and I'm a former wrestling coach. And if I could, it's like helping a kid learn a new move and then see them use that in a match and win. Like, I feel like that with overcoming objections. I feel like if you could take a homeowner who has literally listening to misinformation and not really understanding how it works, and you could just tell them with one little analogy what really is going on, and then you see that light turn on. That to me is an amazing feeling. I love that. So when I started the overcoming objection, the group, it wasn't more like me teaching other people, how to overcome objections. It was more like, hey, let's all work together and figure out how to help the homeowner the best and get the best replies so that more homeowners go solar. I think that's what really is sparking the interest and sparking the excitement about it. It's not like one person just like teaching everybody. It's everybody diving in and teaching each other, helping each other. And if you notice, when I ask questions, I'm not really saying this is the way to do it, because there's no one perfect way of doing it. There's so many different ways and perspectives. And I think that's what's really getting the movement going, is that we're all helping each other help the solar industry.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And the solar is such, I mean, it's like a community, right? But the thing about solar is that there's plenty of food out there for everybody. You know, there's plenty of deals, there's plenty of homes that still need to go solar. It's not we don't necessarily have to be competitive. We can be cooperative with people, and obviously people work in different markets, but we're all kind of facing the same questions. We're having the same conversations, and it's important that we're able to obviously improve so that we can get better. And if we're able to get better, improve our closing percentage by a percentage point or two, then that's something that's gonna just make it better for the long run. So I want to talk about let's talk about some specific objections. Let me ask you, what is your favorite objection and what is your least favorite objection that you get from homeowners?
I'll start with the least favorite. Is solar is a scam. I just, it's like when you hear those words, that person is not even listening to you. So it's like, you're not even trying to hear what I'm going to say. So that to me is frustrating. Like, to me, the worst thing is a closed mind.
Yeah.
If
Let me
you're
ask
closed,
you, do
go
you
ahead.
run your own Facebook ads?
I not myself. I have team that does that for
Cool.
me.
Yeah. So that's one of my least favorite. I don't. It used to be my least favorite, but I think it's one of my favorites now. Is that Facebook ads? People comment, "This is a scam," and I just want to go like, why? Like, what drives these people to see something and like comment like this is like I don't know. I've never done that with anything, and it always baffles my mind. And I'm like, oh, how is it a scam? Like, if you meet these requirements, you're guaranteed to get $1,000 cash back to lower your bill to do all this stuff. Can you explain how it's a scam? And then they never reply. But
Never.
I apologize for cutting you off. But so you were saying this is a scam is your least favorite objection.
Yeah. So just because of the closed mindedness, if you're not going to listen to me, I can't have a conversation with you. But my favorite objection is I can't afford solar. I love to hear that. Like, just, I want every customer who says I can't afford solar because I can explain to them that that just doesn't make sense. And if you understand how solar can benefit you, you would understand that this is something, it's an opportunity to make money. Another one is when they said, I don't want debt, and I explained that, yes, I understand, there's some debt that's bad, there's some debt that's good. You have to understand there's a difference. Like, for example, car debt may not be good, credit card debt may not be good, but you do have a home and you probably have a mortgage, so you do have some debts, right? So you do believe there's good debt and the bad debt, correct? So those are the two ones I like to overcome, because then they're on my side. They understand I'm trying to help them. I'm not trying to sell them something, as opposed to what maybe they hear from other people or their neighbors.
Very good. So one of my last videos, was it my last video? No, it was the video I made last week, which was like the 10 tips for people to book appointments over the phone. And one of the things we touched on, which is overcoming objections, which is probably multiple videos in itself, but was the three A's: answer, or sorry, what was it? It was agree, answer, ask. So agreeing with them. So even if they say like you were just talking about how like you can't afford like, oh, I don't want debt. I mean, I agree. Like, yeah, there's some really bad debt out there, but I mean, you own your home, so I think you would agree that there is some good debt as well, right?
Exactly.
And then so what you're doing is it's just a formula that you can use to almost overcome any objection. You did it like effortlessly. I still have to like think about it every time I'm doing it, but it's just such an important skill to have because you most of the time, I would say 80 to 90% of the time, they're just using that as kind of like a smoke screen. Like that's not the real reason that they don't want to move forward with you. There's something else there, and you have to get around that so you can find out what that other something is.
Yeah, 100% agree. And this is the thing, is that even if they're using that as a smokescreen, there's still something in their head that's causing them to think that, say it out loud. Like if they really understood, they'll be embarrassed to say that, right? Like if you really understood how solar benefits you, you wouldn't say I can't afford solar. You feel like you're not really, you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't really understand what's going on. So there is something still there that there's not clicking. And to me, my favorite is when you see that light bulb switch in their head, like, oh, that face when they make, oh, that to me is like, all right, now they're understanding. And that's my goal. And for me, the best way is, like you said, feel, felt, found, right? But then have an analogy they can understand, right? Like once they understand, like, this is just like what you're doing that you just didn't, wasn't around before. This is new just because you've been paying your electricity bill for the past 5 years. There's another option where you can own your electricity and not spend any more than you're already spending. And once they see that, that's when they start coming around and they start listening more. And then you kind of take them step by step by step from there.
Okay, cool. Are those jellyfish in your background?
Yeah, you like that, right?
Wait,
Uh, it's my pets. It's Eeny, Meeny, Miny, and Mo.
those are
They're
real.
well, no, but they're still pets, right? Like they're still my pets, but no,
What?
they're not
Oh,
real.
okay. I was like, I caught my eye and I was staring at the whole last conversation. But yeah,
I actually convinced my 6-year-old that they were real, and he believed it was real for a month. So they definitely look real.
I was like, it's like they have a like a whirlpool, like a jet that's like pushing them around. I was like, I don't know if like imagine if you were trying to sleep in that. Those poor jellyfish.
I would
Uh,
not. If that was real, I wouldn't do that. If they were real. I would have a huge aquarium for them. But no, that's they're fake for sure.
yeah, for sure. So what is other than objections, what do you think is, or overcoming objections, like what do you think most people that are new to the solar industry, what can they do to improve, obviously, their sales pitch?
A big, 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 big one is learning the utility, like learning net metering, how it works. Because, a lot of people, like, for example, PG&E electricity, a lot of people hate on them, right? Like, yeah, you have so many things you can hate about them, the fires and the expensive rates. And I never hate on them. You never see me say PG&E is terrible, ever. And the reason why is because once you get a solar system, PG&E has the best net metering rules in the country. $10 a month, you get unlimited access to the infrastructure. Sign me up, right? So for me, if you learn the utilities and how that can help the homeowner and help, like they understand that you can have the same utility and have a way better relationship. To me, that's going to be a big thing for them to understand that there is a way to improve that relationship they already have with the same utility. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And it reminds me of when you spoke about explaining net metering. It reminds me of there's a quote out there. I don't remember who it is, but like you really understand something when you're able to explain it to a 5-year-old, right?
Yes.
So that's something that I think is super crucial because I think there's a lot of people out there that are coming to the solar industry for one reason or the other. Let's be honest, most people are probably coming because there's some good money over here. But people come to the industry and there's people that are trying to sell that don't necessarily understand the product. They don't understand the panels. They don't understand the inverter. They don't know the utility company or the policies, and those getting those people educated as fast as possible is obviously one of the most important things that we can do as an industry. What I want to do is I would love to see. So pretend like I'm a 5-year-old or just one of those dumb homeowners. Um, I don't want to. Not all homeowners. I'm just
There
some
are some.
homeowners.
Yeah,
There
there are
are
some
some that are
that
dumb. I'm
are.
not calling all
There
homeowners
is.
dumb. You're not dumb for owning your home. Um, but what? How would you explain net metering to them? What metering is if they had no idea?
Yeah, I love it. It's like you're not getting rid of PG&E. You're just changing your relationship with them. So when you have a solar system, you're going to be producing so much electricity when the sun is out. That electricity needs to go somewhere, right? So, or it's going to disappear. So you have PG&E to take that extra electricity, kind of like a bank takes your money, right? They're going to use it. They're going to power up your neighbors, your local companies. But when you need it back at nighttime and in cloudy days, they give that back to you and you get unlimited access to the infrastructure for only $10 a month. That's usually the way I explain it to, a homeowner.
Very cool. Yeah, I like that. I think that's super, super important. And I think that's once again, I think anyone who's watching this that doesn't, if you can't explain net metering as clearly as that, then you should probably go back, watch that, take some notes, and practice because that's all it is practicing. Because we need to be able to explain things to people as if they were five. Because if we're talking about the specs and like the science behind it, that was my problem when I was a fitness guy. I was a personal trainer and fitness manager, and I was my degree was in like kinesiology and exercise science,
Oh, nice.
and my it was okay. My problem though was always I love the science, I love the like the biomechanics and the exercise physiology, and I would get into a sales pitch and I'd talk to people about it, and they didn't care, or even if they did care, they couldn't understand it, you know. So figuring out different parts of your pitch and trying to explain how solar works as simple as possible is super super important because if the homeowner can like explain to their neighbor how solar works, then they're going to be much more likely to buy it.
Exactly. And that's your best, solar consultant is going to be the homeowner, right? And if they, first of all, they're not going to make a decision if there's any confusion in their head. Like if it's just a little bit of confusion, they're not going to make a decision on that.
Confused mind always says no.
Yes, exactly. So once they understand why they're doing it, how it works, what their relationship is like, or what it's going to be like going into the future, then their mind is clear. And that's where they can really feel good. But not only that, they're excited about it. They're just not, oh, I got solar. They're like, wow, I got solar. And then they're telling their neighbors about it. And the neighbors are going to ask, what's the first question to ask? Why did you go solar, right? And then instead of just saying, oh, I'm saving money, they're going to say that I get to own my own system. My home value goes up. Eventually, I get free electricity. They're going to be able to explain these things because they understand it themselves.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome, man. I think that's something that um, more solar professionals need to focus on is kind of being a like a teacher, you know, like helping but teaching them a simplified version so that they're able to understand how it works. And when you do that and when you're able to communicate in their language, that's how you're going to be able to really connect with them and build that rapport that we all know is so important.
Yeah,
um,
and you also like want to pull out objections. That's something maybe some, because those maybe they're just trying to sell, sell, sell. But you can sell somebody and then they'll still be confused. They cancel. So you really want to try to pull out objections. And for me, like the most important part of the whole meeting is investigating. Like if you don't investigate, then you're just selling what you have, right? Investigating to me is like critical, and asking them questions, open-ended questions about what they're about to do, how their future is, where they're gonna, how long are they gonna live there, things about them, and then you can actually present it based on what their needs are, not based on what the solar company is selling.
yeah, exactly. Their why, and then also because if you are in a position where you can save $100 a month or something, you know, and then you can say, oh, well, think about what that $100 a month can mean to you, and if you can equate that to one additional family vacation a year or whatever, then it's obviously going to be much more they're going to be much more comfortable with it because it's once again those are types of things that emotion is insanely powerful. So I want to kind of just what I like to do is like just rapid fire kind of a couple objections to you and put you on the spot and see if, what your recommendation would be on how to overcome them.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
All right, man, let's do it. All right, so what about I'm interested, but I really need to talk to my spouse. I don't think that they're interested.
Yeah, of course. Like, I'm married too, and I would not make any big decisions without my wife. I could promise you that. But also, my wife kind of relies on me to, help her with making sure that she has knows all the options and she's choosing the right decision. She's really big on spending money wisely. You agree that your wife likes to spend money wisely?
Of course, very good. Next one would be I just had one. I heard that when you have solar panels on your roof, it's much harder to sell your home.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that one before. Oh my God, I've had some conversations, some real estate agents that say they're experienced. And usually what that means is that they're experienced from 20 years ago where solar panels weren't really around. But once you talk to real estate agents or that are more evolved, that really understand solar and its benefits, it's a no-brainer. And the reason why it's a no-brainer is because your home is going to be sold with its own electricity. So if you had a choice to buy a home with or without electricity bill, which one would you choose?
Dude, that was gold, man. That one was awesome. I love that one. Um, I've heard this one only a few times, and if you know any others off the top of your head that are more common, please let me know. But one was people are saying, "Oh, well, I'm waiting a few years for the price of panels to come down and for the technology to improve."
Oh yeah, no, I totally get that. If it made sense, I would advise you to do the same thing. Just remember, you got to remember a couple of things. You're spending money on electricity right now, but this money is being thrown away. If you just take 3 years of total money you're spending, it could add up to $10,000. Plus, there's a 26% tax credit that's here right now that may not be here in a couple of years. So if you add that together, we're looking at $15,000, $20,000 you're saying no to. If you decide to say no to that, that's fine, but make sure you are choosing to do that. And another thing is that if you know you're going to go solar one day, then what you're doing is actually, if you have enough roof space on your roof to get as much electricity as you need, there's really nothing else to wait for. All you do is throwing money away that could be paying yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. All right, last one, and it's maybe I don't know if the right word's ironic, but because you're wearing the shirt you're wearing, yeah. So I'm interested in solar, but my buddy was telling me that you can get it a lot cheaper just by buying it from Tesla online.
You know what? There is some great options in the industry right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to see what makes the most sense for your situation. And if Tesla is the right one, I'm going to show you that one. Um, this is the thing, though. You want to make sure you compare accurately. And with Tesla, there's not a solar consultant, and they're very cookie cutterish and they're very strict. So if you need, for example, a 6 kilowatt system, you cannot get it with Tesla, right? So then you have to either go smaller or too big. So there's definitely some nuances that you want to make sure you're making the right decision, but I could definitely help you out with that.
Perfect. And one more, because I saw this yesterday and I had never heard it before, was someone said, "Oh, I heard that solar only works in California. It doesn't work here in New Jersey or it doesn't work here in Texas."
It's definitely a lot of people think that because California, is the sun, we get a lot of sun over here, and there's nothing wrong with that. But guess what? There's sun over there too. And what's cool is that the more panels you have, the less sun you need, right? So it's really an equation of how much solar panels you can get to how much it's going to lower your electricity bill. So if you just ask you a few questions, we see if this makes sense for you.
That's perfect, man. Well, there you go, dude. You crushed it. I'm trying to think, is there any big ones that you can think of that I'm missing?
A big one is they want to think about it.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's kind of a typical one. So what do you say if someone says, I'm interested, but I really want to think about it?
I said, yeah, you're going to be thinking about this for a long time. Actually, you're going to be thinking about it all the way till you get installed. But let's just make sure you have something to think about. We have to look at your roof, look at the trees, and make sure that you actually can get the solar. And once we know you have solar, then actually you have something to think about at that point. Do you have Wednesday or Thursday available?
Perfect. So great, great use of overcoming the objection and also using the either or question at the end. Man, dude, you're good. I feel like I could give you the. I feel like no matter what I throw at you, you're 100% ready for it.
Let's
And
go.
that's awesome. That's how most I can't think of anymore. So I wish I had a list written down, and I should have because I believe you have a list on your group. Is that correct?
Yeah, man. I put a list up there, but it's to me, I'm not trying to say like I'm the best and I could teach everybody how to overcome objections. I'm a sponge. Like I'm a solar sponge. That's how I look at it. So I learn from everybody. So I'm trying to get all the solar pros I can know and learn from and and grow my own knowledge. And that's how I am where I am today, because I never thought I'm the best or I have nothing to learn. I'm learning every day. So you can look in the group, they have objections, and then you can see some great objection handlers that have their own perspective of how to handle it. And then I do a weekly live role play that we're doing actually tonight. So we're just trying to make sure that everybody can see different perspectives and different homeowners. So not just the same homeowner every time, because guess what? Not every homeowner is the same. I talk to homeowners every day, and they're completely different every single phone call or every meeting. And it's really important to know not only how to answer it, but how to answer that for that specific homeowner. And that's what we're trying to really get really good at.
Of course, man. And so while you were talking, I did pull up the list, and I'm gonna run through a couple more here from your group, and then another uh, key for anyone watching. This is just a friendly reminder. If you're watching and you are unsure how to overcome any of these objections, obviously listen, learn, practice. That's what we're all here for. We're all trying to help, and I hope that Solar Joe can give you some ideas of how you might be able to handle that with your next appointment, so that if one of these objections comes up, you're a little bit more confident in what's going on. So, what about if someone brings up like they use I'm refinancing my home as kind of an excuse?
Yeah, um, so for me, that one is a little harder for me to answer because I don't want to get into the refinancing questions. But if you look in the group, we had some great answers there. It just for me, that's not a one that I really, for me, I kind of wait till the refinancing is over to help them out. But if you look in the group, there's some great answers in there that they may use
So
for
and so that's if they're currently refinancing. If they're planning on refinancing, then would you still wait, or would you ask them like, oh, would this make sense to do before?
Yeah, so if they're not actually actively refinancing, then we'll kind of go over the options of why they're waiting, and then kind of overcome that objection at that point.
Okay. What about if someone says I might be moving in the next few years?
I'd be like, yeah, nobody really knows how long they're going to be living in the house. So yeah, you might be planning to move in the next couple of years, or maybe a couple more years. But in the meantime, you're going to be spending money on electricity. And the next 2 years alone, you'll be losing out on 26% tax credit and about $4,000 in electricity you're spending. So this is the thing: you're getting a tax credit. The next homeowner is not privileged to know what your tax preference is. So you can sell your home for the full price of solar and keep your tax credit. Would that be something you might be interested in?
Of course, man. Gosh, you're good at this. All right. I don't like the way it looks.
There is beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and everybody has different opinions about the way they look. We could definitely customize it to make it more pretty in your eyes. But have you seen all the different options out there right now?
Yes. No, I mean, I guess the answer would typically be no. No, I haven't.
Yeah,
Um,
if I could show you some panels, and there is some that's integrated right into the roof, and if that can make sense, that would be another one that you cannot say is ugly. So I could show you that one too.
Very cool. So this one is probably common with people that uh, So a lot of times the online leads, like we're walking a fine line, and sometimes we advertise solar as no cost solar or free solar, or making kind of bending the truth a little bit to make it sound too good to be true. But what if someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, I mean, I thought this was free."
Yeah, no, I totally understand where you're coming from. And the reason why we say it's free because you're not spending a dollar out of your pocket. Okay. What we're doing is we're transferring the same money you're already spending with the utility, and you're going to pay yourself. With that, you're going to save money on day one. You're going to be protected from the utilities rate increases. So you're saving more and more every year. Your home value goes up and you're paying something off. So eventually you get free electricity and you don't spend a dollar out of your pocket. Would you agree that qualifies for free electricity?
Love it, man. Dude, you're a machine. I'm not gonna hammer you anymore. You can take a breather, even though I don't think you're sweating over it. What about how like what is so obviously you're good at overcoming objections. Obviously, I'm not saying you're the best, and I know you're very humble, and you're not going to say that you probably won't even admit that you're good, but you are. What do you think? Can you remember a time when like what is the most objections that you can ever remember overcoming? Like, have you ever had a client that just like brought out all of them, and then you were able to still move past and close?
Um, Definitely, it's every situation, every homeowner is different. Some homeowners don't have any objections, and I don't like those homeowners because they're not really interested. So to me, the more objections they have, the more interested they are. So I actually actively pull out objections. So to me, I love objections. I love overcoming, and the more, the better. So I would say that most of my homeowners I talk to are definitely give me objections. And so I say the more objections, the better.
And then when you're pitching, like during your presentation, do you how is it? One of the most popular techniques is obviously to kind of address the objections before they even come out. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about how you do that successfully?
You know what? I really, 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 really look at investigating, and like I said, I like to pull out the objections with investigating. So you can definitely have all your presentation ready and then, tell them everything. But if you don't really get their objections, like for example, I had a homeowner, was excited, I thought it would be excited because they were saving like, 100 or $150 a month. And I was like, he didn't care. It was like, I don't care about $100 a month. That to me is nothing. So even if you give them, the best answers, it might not relate to that person. So that's why I really believe in investigating and investigating not just a little bit, but throughout and finding it to the end. Because even when you close them at the end and there's still an objection in their head that they haven't brought out, then that's really going to be affecting you because they're going to be thinking about it and they're going to cancel. And you don't want to have any cancels. It's just as good as not signing them up. So it's really about pulling those objections out by really good investigative questions.
Yeah, no, cancels are even worse than not 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 sorry. So there's a crashing in the other room. Cancels are even worse than not selling them in the first place because obviously you've invested your time, and then not to mention just the energy and the excitement that you have, and then when it takes that, it just pulls the wind out of your sails, and it's kind of awful. So definitely don't avoid digging for those objections and trying to find them because I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily ask them because they feel like those questions are a little bit more uncomfortable. But those are those type of things that you want to find out as early as possible, because the earlier you find out, the more likely you are going to be to overcome it. So, do you sell primarily in person or virtual?
I'm an in person, definitely. Um, I was actually doing a solar seminar tour of California beginning of this year, and it got cut off because of COVID. So so then I had to kind of stop. Like I'm all about in person. And you had that excitement and talking to people and getting into the house and really really building it up and meeting me and it's a whole experience, right?
Yeah.
I'm not as comfortable virtually because I didn't have the experience, and I'm not that guy to just do it to do it. I want to do it because I'm good at it and I believe what I'm doing. So I'm definitely an in-home person, but I like the phone. I like to talk to people on the phone too, and then get that excitement built up so that when I meet them or I have another closer meet them, that they're ready, they're excited, they're feeling good about it, and there's no really they're not thinking it's free anymore, right? Like initially they may think it's free, and but now they understand what they're doing, and now they're kind of open minded to hearing how it works.
Yeah, I think I virtual is for sure obviously taking off right now for obvious reasons. I mean, people, especially out there in California, I know is people are taking it a lot more seriously than other places of the country, other parts of the country, and it's definitely a different animal. And I think the type of salespeople that probably the type of salespeople that get the best results with door knocking are obviously the people that are able to become someone that's close to their best friend by the end of the pitch, where you know them by their name, you know their children's names, you know a lot about them, you're able to check in with them months later and like just have a casual conversation, and that's the one thing that is definitely missing with virtual. But there's pros and cons because virtual too is it's nice that you can have like 6, 7, even 8 appointments a day. But the cancellation rate's also way higher. So you gotta keep that in mind, and especially as we move back to normal, hopefully in the next handful of months, that door knocking will kind of pick up again.
Yeah, no, 100%. With me, I, I tried the virtual and it worked pretty well, but it was like super lower closing percentage, and I mean people don't take it as serious, like in my opinion. It's just because they just think, oh, it's like they're not really have to make a decision right now, they're just talking to somebody, over the phone or the computer. And with in-home, it just, I mean, my closing percentage is just so much higher and so much different. But there is a lot of positives to the Zooms, and you could help people all over the country. You could do, much more from your home. So I had a choice, and it was equal. Yeah, virtual all day. But in reality, we really look at it. I don't know. Many people can say that there's a higher closing percentage with virtual than in home, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I also think it's harder for someone like you who is so good at overcoming objections and obviously so focused on kind of perfecting the craft of overcoming objections. And because it's much easier for them to object and get away from you on a Zoom call than it is if you're actually in their home. And that makes it sound like we're almost like we're hunters or something, but it just means that because number one, you're able to build rapport. Number two, you're in their home. You've obviously earned their trust, and it's much easier for someone to just cancel a Zoom call or drop out of a Zoom call or get out of it as soon as possible. Say, "Oh, I got something to do," and then they hang up, and then they really just go sit on the couch and watch TV. And
Exactly.
yeah, there's definitely pros and cons for sure. So, do you sell in person? What market are you down in SoCal?
So I'm in NorCal.
Oh, NorCal. Sorry.
No problem. I'm right side of Sacramento. So PG&E and SMUD are my bread and butter. I mean, I love SMUD and PG&E. PG&E is like the cream of the crop, like, all day long. They need help bad. PG&E homeowners need help with backup power, with electricity, with, the whole nine yards. So I like to help people that need help. Right. Like that's what I'm looking for. And those homeowners really, really need help bad. And a lot of them are just getting misinformed. They're getting the wrong information, and a lot of the confusion is like between leasing and owning. A lot of homeowners don't know the difference. A lot of real estate agents don't know the difference. And for me, it's like you have to know the difference. You have to understand how it works, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure you're making the best decision for yourself and your family and your home. Correct?
Yeah, no, it's 100%. You guys are in NorCal, PG&E. You guys are dealing with like rolling blackouts right now, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's crazy, and that homeowners literally right now can get backup power and the solar system for less than they're paying PG on day one. Like, what are you waiting for? What are you thinking about? Right? It's just, to me, it's just about getting the information out there and getting open minds. Once you have open minds, it's a whole different wave still coming.
Yeah, that sounds too good to be true. It must be a scam. So,
I've
no,
heard that
yeah,
before.
I saw because I saw it in NorCal and I also saw it in Arizona. And from the marketing guy in me, I'm looking at it from a like a messaging perspective, is being able to tell people like, look, this is happening right now, and yeah, it stinks. And it's also probably something that's not going to go away in the next 5 years. It's probably just going to get even worse, right? And some of the restrictions are just kind of silly. Like you can't use electricity. You're not use. They're limiting how much electricity you can use before like 8 p.m. or something. It's like that's when everyone uses electricity. Um, but
Exactly. I actually
it's
go into these Facebook groups because it's like, different areas. Every time there's like a blackout or a rolling brownout, they post it on the group. Oh, you're out, your power's out, your power's out, and I'm on like there. Hey, there's options you have. You don't have to have your power out. Or I'll ask them a simple question like, so anybody who lives in an area where there's power outages still have power? And guess who's the ones that answer? The people who have solar just with backup power, and they're telling everybody else why they're doing it. And all of a sudden, people are, because I guess people really need to like have their friends and family tell them to do it, right? They need people they know that they could trust, that could give them the little bump to get them going.
Yeah, for sure. One last thing I want to touch on with you is uh, once you built that rapport, once you've closed the deal, once you sold it, the system's installed. One of the biggest things that anyone can do is to create a relationship with that person where they might be someone who's going to bring you more customers. Because kind of like what you're talking about is when um, rolling blackouts happen, it's dark everywhere, and then you're the customer that you sold solar to. They're all happy, and their friends are asking them like, "Hey, how the heck do you have your power right now?" What kind of stuff do you do to make sure that you're um, creating opportunities where you're going to get referrals from from almost every single person that you've sold?
I really pride myself in relationships with my homeowners. They call me, and that's the reason. My name is Solar Joe, and it's not just Solar Joe. It's actually practical reasons to it. When I go to a home and I say bye, and I just say, "Yo, Joe Musakil," they're not gonna know me. They're not gonna remember me. They're not gonna know which Joe I was, right? So I asked them to save my name in their phone as Solar Joe. Guess what? When they type in solar in the phone, I'm like one of the only people that pop up, right? So they remember me that way. And that's how I try to be more memorable, so that when they think about solar or their friends are thinking about solar, they just the phone, solar, and they call me up. I get that over and over again. But to answer your question, I really, really take pride in, I really call them up, ask them, how's everything doing? I do testimonials, like, why not? They're happy, they're excited, and not just like when they install. I notice a lot of people do that when they just install. A year later, 2 years later, because that's what really homeowners want to know is how is it going to be next year, right? I also go over. I'll give them a free solar cleaning on their roof, right? Because sometimes a good investment is going to pay off, right? Like it's like for a free testimony, for a testimonial, I'll clean your roof, right? That kind of relationship where you're kind of giving, not just taking.
Yeah, and that's something that you can also um, budget for. And like if you take 5% of closed deals and you set that money aside and you say this is money is for gifts that I'm going to give to past clients to keep me on their mind, and like you really have thoughtful gifts and you're able to build that relationship, you can save that money and give them their first solar cleaning or whatever, and it's just going to be something that is something very small compared on the big scale things. But I mean, think about doing those things. If it brings you one referral, it's well worth it. And a lot of times too is once you've gotten to that point, it brings a lot more than one referral. So it's something that is insanely um, just useful. And I think everyone should be focused on building that relationship and even giving past customers gifts so that you can find more customers like them.
Even
Um,
if you don't get the referral out of them,
yeah,
initially.
don't expect to get the
Yeah.
referral. I want to say that, like, don't like give it to them and like
Yeah.
sit there like, hey, so remember a month ago? So you want to give without expectation, right? But
But
you
then,
want it's about becoming their friend, because whether or not it does, if one out of every 10 happens to give you a referral, it's still gonna make you some good money. And the odds are that it's gonna be a lot more than 1 in 10.
but you said exact, be friends. So example is be Facebook friends with them. And guess what happens? When I do a little post on Facebook, a little solar meme or something funny, or I say like, guess which homeowners are happy about their electricity bills right now. You know what? My homeowners are going to be like, I am happy. Thanks, Joe. I'm happy. Thanks, Joe. Right. And then you can actually tag them in the picture, and now their friends are seeing it. It's because it's a more of a friendly approach, and you feel like you're just it's like your uncle or your cousin. Like you're not trying to get something, but you're not going to mind if they refer somebody to you,
Yeah,
right?
of course. And remember, it goes back to no one wants to hear you talk about yourself or your product, but if you can get other people to talk about it, it's a gold mine. So last thing I want to talk about because you mentioned it, memes. Have you been using memes? And if so, how has it been going for you?
Well, I think you guys know I love solar memes. I really think it's awesome because two things. First of all, one solar meme can pull out objections, right? So I love objections. I love people saying, "Oh, it's a scam, this and that." So then I'll answer those questions or whatever it is. But I actually been using it lately, and it's actually been working out. Where you have those leads that ghost you. They fill out the information, they everything's done, and then they never reach back, right? So I'll do is this: I'll send like a month later if they haven't got any responses. I'll send them like a solar meme. Like I don't know if you remember the one I had like with two cops going to the door and saying, "Well, just wondering because your solar consultant was worried about you because you went missing or something like that." And I send that solar meme to them. It just just that alone, and I get like a laugh response by somebody who never was even going to respond to me. I'm not saying it works every time, but definitely got some good responses out of it.
Yeah, we've talked about that a few times. Memes they're awesome because it's a way to increase likability, get engagement, loosen the mood, make it fun, make you more likable. And it's you even see it with like politics. You see people that are able to, if they what the meme is like implying or what the meme is saying, if they just said it directly on Facebook, there wouldn't be any, like no one, like three people would like it. It's not exactly something that you can say, but when you can do it in a funny form, like everyone can appreciate it, and that's something that how you can obviously make light or like you said, use it as a way to overcome objections. Where if you can use a meme that talks about solar being a scam and then overcoming it and showing them how it's not a scam in a meme form, they're much more likely going to read that and like kind of be intrigued than if you typed it up into two or three sentences. Um,
I believe humor and comedy and laughing is great, and if you get any reaction, even if it's a negative reaction is better than no reaction, right? So it's something where if you can make them laugh or get any reaction, to me that's where you're getting something that you didn't have anything before.
Yeah, and especially with ads and social media, the more reactions you get, obviously, these platforms show it to more people. So it's just a never-ending gold mine. And I'm gonna use that the solar consultant police at the door. I'm gonna use that meme with some cold leads and a handful of pipelines, and I'll make sure to update everybody and update you on how it works. So
You'll get
Solar
some laughs.
Joe, Solar Joe, thank you so much for your time today, man.
Thank you
It
for
was a
having
it
me.
was a blast. It was a lot of fun. You're awesome. I love your group. If anyone wanted to reach out to you, can you just give a little info about how it would be best for them to reach you?
Yeah, just go to Solar Joe Musakil on Facebook. That's where I really network and talk to as many people as possible and do my content. So yeah, just check me out on Facebook.
Cool, man. Super easy. Awesome, dude. Well, I appreciate it again, and let's